Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another review. This time the Transformer that we are looking at is the first movie's Autobot Jazz. This is the deluxe version, not that there was ever any other version from the first movie ever released. So here we have Jazz. His alternate mode is that of a Pontiac Solstice, and I remember that because that is one of the many car types I decided to revise from these films, because once upon a time I was a dedicated fan. And I'm not now. But here we go, Jazz. As we can see, his primary colour scheme is this kind of silvery grey that's going on. I mean, it's not proper silver, is it? Because Hasbro, and you know, they don't do that sort of thing. Only in rare cases do they do that sort of thing. Not for Jazz here. He's a grey that's trying to pass as a silver, but he does an admirable job nevertheless. He does have some other decent paint applications about him. As you can see, his headlights here are painted kind of like this nice blue. There is some yellow for the bottom lights there. Nice greyish black grille. Nice Pontiac logo there in red. Tail lights are nicely painted red. Even the bumper is black, and of course we've got translucent blue for the windows, and you can actually see inside, and you might be able to make out there is actually a sculpted steering wheel in there as well. That's quite impressive. There are even sculpted seats. You might just be able to tell that actually from how we've got the camera situated. So that's quite impressive. Obviously this is an officially licensed vehicle mode. Pontiac would have said to Hasbro, yeah, you can make a Transformer out of our car, and they do a decent job actually. It's actually a very decent vehicle mode that we've got going on here. Yeah, there's panel lines out the front, but that's, you know, transformation. You have to sacrifice some things here and there, don't you? Even I was going to say the hubcaps are painted and sculpted very well, but it could be better. Taking a quick look at the underside, it's not particularly obvious, apart from the legs, what becomes what, so good job there. Now, we can see on the spoiler, we've got this. This is Jazz's weapon. It's kind of a lance/blaster sort of thing. I like to keep it folded up like this to look like a blaster, but you can pull it out all the way to be... I mean, I'm pretty sure the packaging calls this a lance. You could argue that it's like a sniper rifle, I suppose. We'll come back to this. I'm just going to fold it up. It's a little bit stiff folding it up, but there we go. We'll come back to this. Getting on to transformation, it is a very easy transformation, but it is a bit clustered, and you'll see why. So what we first want to be doing is coming to the back, lifting that and just situating it up on top. And then taking the back wheels and thus the back of the car, and we're going to also grab it here, and we're just going to pull this, and this will bring the doors down as well, and we're just going to leave it hanging at a 90-degree angle for the sake of clearance. We might as well continue on the legs while we're here. So we can split them, not that they particularly tab in particularly well. We can bring them down at what will be the knees, then we can rotate it until the tyres are at the back and these are at the front. Flip down the heels at this point, because why not? There we go. Bring the feet down, and then you'll notice these random black pieces here. These are actually fake tyres, because if you remember the film, Jazz's tyres are kind of in his feet, almost like Bumblebee's. So what you want to do is just rotate them, but on a pin. Just rotate them until you get the feet flat, basically, and they clip into place. They'll like jump over a notch, and it'll be very obvious when you've got them in the right position. So same thing on the other side. Just take this and just rotate until, there we go. And that is the legs all sorted. Looking at the top of the figure now, keep all of this flat and horizontal, but we're going to grab the front of the car here, and we're just going to literally tear it apart like that. Bring it at an angle, and then finish by bringing it all horizontal again whilst pulling out the tyres like that. So you've hinged everything up basically a level. So you've got it like that. Then take these front pieces, and keeping this here, just fold them up, as you can see there. Bring all of this forward. We're doing it this way for clearance, because this is where everything starts to jumble into each other. This is the higgledy-piggledy messy part that I was insinuating. So, we've got it like this. Now take these pieces and fold them all the way back and over the tyre on each arm. Like that. Then, take these and fold them up again. So they're like that. And now, take this opportunity to fold out the hands and to double hinge these panels back on themselves. And you're creating the arms by doing this. Just like that. And that should give you the freedom to fully move the arms down and into their correct positions. Just like that. Now, if we want to bend the legs back at the hips, we can safely push the lower torso into the top. Flay his arms out slightly, and then as we bring this back panel down, we'll get the head reveal and we'll get this figure's automorph gimmick, which will collapse the chest into its appropriate lock. So as we can see, there we go. So his head's popped up and these panels have all moved in behind the central one. And that, ladies and gents, is Jazz's pretty easy transformation complete. So what do I make of the robot mode? I think for the time, it's okay. Obviously, since this guy, there have been better versions of Jazz that have been released. There's the Human Alliance version, and then I think he got a Masterpiece version. I'm pretty sure he did. And then, of course, there is the Studio Series version, which is only about this high. Yeah, it's a running joke with the Studio Series version, but it's tiny. But all of them have improved upon what this guy originally set out to do. I think the Studio Series takes cues after the Human Alliance. That kind of set the new benchmark. But for the time, you know, this is decent. I think profile-wise, especially from the front here, he looks good. He does look good. And I'm happy that the chest is actually accurate, because my biggest bugbear with his successor figures is that I don't feel like they ever get the chest right. And I could be wrong. I could not be remembering the movie correct, but I don't remember this central piece being flipped the other way up, which is what all of his successor figures seem to do. Somebody tell me in the comments whether in the actual film he's like this or if he's different. I'm willing to bet he's like this. Anyway, my nitpicks aside, I think profile, he does look good. I don't know if there's ever been a complaint about shortness of arms or shortness of legs, proportions compared to one another. I could just be making that up. I don't think that is a problem with him at all. But when you do look at him on the side and study his arms clearly, what is that? I mean, it's not good, is it? They could have put the bonnet of the car onto his back and made a bigger backpack, but I suppose they try to sacrifice that where they can and go for this instead. It's a unique way to form arms out of a figure, but it's a bit like they don't tab into anything, they flop about and the hollow, and it's not the best idea for a figure, is it? Not really. Taking a look at some of Jazz's finer details, I've zoomed in so we can see as much of the head sculpt in detail as we can, and I think it's a decently sculpted head. I do like all of these big ear things here. He's got a nice wide visor. He does have some sculpting where his mouth is, but it'll be hard for you to make it out, which is why I brought along my handy torch here. So we can see a little bit more of the detail here, and we can see this beautiful light piping. Look at that. That is excellent. And I really want to see more light piping on figures. Make it a bit more commonplace, please. Really good. Continuing to pan down and in focus as much as we possibly can. I might have to zoom out. There we go. Yeah, so continuing detail on the grill is pretty cool. We can see all of this robot mode detail here. This is excellent. A nice Autobot symbol in a questionable place. Wonder what the idea was having it there. we can see some nice like bronzish paint revealed on the shin area, so that just helps to break out this mundane grey. And yeah, overall I think detail wise Jazz rules. Really good, fabulous. Returning to accessories, we're going to bring this back. So what I like to do is to take his right arm, and I like to give him kind of like a shockwave sort of look. So open up this panel about halfway and fold his hand back in. There's a stick on the back of this, there's a tab on the underside of his arm, and if you plug that in, I'm going to try and do it blind. We now have Jazz looking a bit like Shockwave with a gun arm, but I think it is actually a decent look for him. And it just helps break him up a little bit more, break up the mundanity of things, give him a nice unique look, you know. It's good. I think it's good. And if you wish, you can pull this thing out, and that's a thing. That's a thing you can do. Sure. I'm going to plug it all back up, and I'm actually going to leave this here for the remainder of the review, because this is how I display him. What you can also do, if you so desire, is take this back panel and rip it off somehow. Oh, I don't want to break it. I'm worried about breaking that. But you can. It's designed to do it. Oh, there we go. Fortunately, it will just clip back in, but that is a bit scary. And then there's a couple of places on the figure that you can actually put this thing. This is meant to be a shield, by the way. It's not a very good shield. The first thing that you can do is plug it onto the gun, and I have to remember which way round it goes, but it does plug on, because as you can see here, that's clearly for it. And now he has a bumper shield. Yeah. The other thing that you can do, and whether this is a little bit more logical, you can make up your own mind, is that you can plug this in to the centre of his shoulder wheels. And that looks okay. Doesn't stay in place particularly very well, but again, it's a thing you can do. But by removing that, it kind of clears him up a little bit. You know, he hasn't got a backpack now. Fold that in. Helps streamline his profile, I suppose. In terms of articulation, Jazz's head is on nice ball joints. We can go whole 360 degrees round, look down that far and look up that far, so that's pretty good. And in terms of his shoulders, they can rotate a whole, well, if you fold the backpack down, then they can rotate a whole 360 degrees. They are hinged, so they can fold up that far. In terms of elbow articulation, I'll better show you on this arm. He can achieve just under a 90-degree bend, depending on how you have the arms situated. I used to, in my youth, have his arms something like that, with what is actually the front of the arm on top. Now, of course, that's incorrect, but if you were to have it that way, you would achieve a whole 90-degree bend and a whole lot more besides. Nothing at the hands, apart from a slight up and down, but that's really a transformation thing. And really, if you wish, you can break his arm like that. But why you would want to do that, really, I don't know. In terms of waist, he has nothing. In terms of a spread, only that far. In terms of a forward kick, that's very good forward kick. But a back kick, unfortunately, doesn't really exist because of all of this. And if you were to hinge this up, then you would start transforming his top half. You don't want to do that, so thumbs down for that. He has a whole 360-degree rotation at the knee. In terms of a knee bend, that's pretty rubbish. And in terms of foot, he can go up and down, and that's it. So articulation is limited, and that is one of the big detractors about this figure, especially compared to his later variants. For a quick size comparison, here is Jazz next to his successor in the Autobot lineup. This is Sideswipe. You can check out the review for this guy up in the title card. And yeah, these are only one line apart from one another. Same head size, basically, and what I mean by that is they come up to about the same height. I could have phrased that better, couldn't I? Here is Jazz next to a modern deluxe class figure. This is Dino from the Studio series, and Dino here is probably representative of the height of the modern Jazz Studio series figure. I think they'll roughly come up to a very similar height there. So yeah, there you go. And then this is Jazz next to Kingdom Galvatron, who not only represents the scale of modern Voyagers, but also the scale of modern leaders as well, because now they're the same flaming height as one another, and the only thing that sets them apart is accessories. So there we go, that's the review of the first movie, Deluxe Class Jazz. I think for the time, it's passable. Obviously, the first movie had much superior figures than this one. There is something charming about his profile, and the detail and some of the transformation gimmicks as well, like how the chest collapses, and really how you do make the arms is unique. I wouldn't say it's clever, but it's certainly unique. I do, in retrospect, have a hard time recommending this because there are better versions of Jazz out there that are from like the movies. But I don't know, there's something nostalgic about him. Whether it's because this Jazz here is one of the first movie Transformers I ever got, because I got him in a free pack with the Deluxe Class Brawl and the Protoform Optimus Prime. So there's something quite special about it, and I'm surprised he's still in such a good state as he is, considering, 2007 is an old figure. But yeah, there's better ones out there. There's even a G1 redeco of this guy, which is quite nice. There's a smokescreen redeco for Revenge of the Fallen. I don't think it's quite as nice. Personally, I think this is the best looking one out of the variations of this specific mold. There is probably a premium finish version, which on paper would actually be the best version. But again, there's something just nostalgic about this I can't help but liking. So personally, I give him a thumbs up, but I can't outright recommend him because there are better ones out there. So that's Jazz. Thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.